opinion. You speak to one person, they think this certain thing would be moral, this certain thing would be immoral. And yes, we can talk about laws, the commandments, but then once you put those into specific situations, it's very difficult. So that's just a side note. But what I'm trying to say to you is that when we have kind of all these kind of different separate things, to then try and judge people by one kind of stick doesn't make sense.
We don't judge people.
Okay,
that's where you're wrong.
Sorry, not you.
God
I'm
judges
not saying
people.
That's what I'm saying. By God judging those people on a kind of
by His laws.
By on that stick, on that kind of straight narrow line of
God set up His laws,
heaven and hell,
and He judges people by His laws.
Is going to hell eternally. That doesn't really make sense. That's not just.
Just one second. This is very strange. When you make claims like this, I mean, I get really shocked. If God says very clearly, look, if you associate a partner with me, He is going to put you into hellfire for eternity. One moment, and you meet God, and God says, look, you ended up in hellfire, and I told you this is going to happen, and you're saying it's not just?
Even in terms of, so, can I just ask you a question, because I'm trying to work out your mindset. Are you specifically wanting to focus on the sin essentially of denying God, or are you just talking about sin in general?
I find it very strange. I mean, we have been talking about...
Are you talking about sin in general or sin in denying God?
I mean, you should have realized so far that I am talking about this one particular sin.
Denying God.
That one particular sin that will give you one-way ticket to hellfire forever.
Denying God.
That sin is not just denying God. What have I been saying all that time? Associating a partner with God.
I mean,
that crime.
That's not necessarily what I was talking about, but that's where you wanted to put.
Remember what we talked about. Remember what we talked about. You had an issue about. You had an issue about not punishment in hellfire, but eternal punishment. And I said eternal punishment is for a category of people, a special category. And one category, especially with black and white, is this category of people who commit the shirk, associating partners with God. If God Himself declares, I am going to put you in hellfire for eternity if you do that crime, and He constantly reminds you, He makes it clear through His prophets and messengers in His revelation, and then you end up doing that crime and you go into hellfire, and then you say, God, that is not just. Do you really think?
I think we've been talking past each other a little bit then, because my issue isn't to the confines of that.
I want to understand your concept of justice.
Yeah, I'm talking about justice in general.
When you accuse God saying this is not just, do you really think you have a point there?
Of saying God isn't just. No, I believe God is just. I'm saying that maybe
that person who ends up in eternal hellfire by committing an associating partner with God, and he says to God, God, you're unjust to put me in hellfire forever. Do you think he's got a point there? Or he's actually got a right point? He's actually correct?
It's not. Look, I mean,
what makes his opinion correct that God is actually unjust? If a person said that, I would like to know what makes that person to be saying, look, I am right, you are God, you are unjust because you put me in hellfire.
They could use vagueness in terms of, not obviously in terms of what God said in the scripture, but vagueness in terms of.
There is no vagueness in the scripture on that issue.
In terms of that,
so that excuse is lifted. No, that excuse is lifted. It wasn't vague.
But this is what I don't like, because you're basically framing it as essentially like within like the confines of like, okay,
it's black and white.
But like you kind of grew up as a Muslim or whatever, and then you kind of associate a partner with God and whatnot. I'm looking at it as a bigger scale of there's people of all different types of.
But you asked me that question,
of all types of.
But that's different. The answer is different.
No, but I asked you a question, but you've confined it to something that I didn't ask.
I didn't ask about this from the Islamic perspective.
I asked about eternal
if
hellfire,
people
but you wanted to put it in this specific notion. I didn't do that.
Okay, I answered you from the Muslim perspective. When a Muslim commits a shirk, for example, what's going to happen? If there is a non-Muslim who commits a shirk, associating partners with God, not knowing that, okay? This is a different scenario. He didn't even know. If someone didn't know, that's a different scenario altogether. If someone didn't know that I'm supposed to do this and do that, God is not unjust. God is not unjust. But God gave them enough reason and intellect in this life not to associate partners with God. Because this universe, you can see even using your intellect that there's not more than one God operating this universe. If there were more than one God, there would be corruption and chaos. So if you had taken what God has given you as a trust, your intellect, and used it, you would not have ended up as a polytheist. And if you rejected polytheism, then you have an associate partnership with God. But if you did not use the faculty of intellect that God endowed you with, He trusted you with, then you have to then justify yourself why all this happened and so on and so forth. But God is not unjust. If there is a genuine person who's genuinely ignorant, didn't know, God's not going to punish the eternal hellfire like that, because God is the most just. So that's a different answer here.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I just think you've confined what I was saying to something very specific. I don't think
it though, because that's the criteria to enter eternal hellfire. You get it?
No, because there's other things that could I'm saying denying God in general. He's saying, oh, this idea of associating a partner with God is instead of making God anything other than one and stuff like that. I'm saying that there's other things that would put people in eternal hellfire.
That's the question. Is there something other than shirk that can make someone go to eternal hellfire? That's his question. Just to make it clear.
Even rejecting God altogether,
Anything other than
that is also associating partners with God. Because you made someone else the judge of everything. That God is not in the sovereign master, the creator, Lord of this universe.
Essentially atheists.
Yes. It's one form of
But that's what I'm
shirk.
saying.
Okay.
Yeah,
If you don't have any questions, I mean, you can ask anyone else,
fine,
because
yeah,
I have to
you've
go.
spoken, yeah, you've
No,
spoken.
because of that, I have to go and pray my mother's prayer.
No, thanks very much for your time. That was very helpful.
Okay.